Okay, let's just dive right in, because we're going to talk about one of the most unsettling human experiences out there. It's that moment you realize you're not just you're an echo of the people who raised you. In this explainer, we are going to unpack the deep psychological reasons why that happens.
I mean, it is such a chilling moment, right? You're in the middle of a conversation, maybe a heated argument, and bam, there it is. Your mother's exact tone of voice, your father's go-to phrase, that one gesture you swore you never ever do. And yet, there you are. It's like you're reading from a script you didn't even know you'd memorized.
So, this experience, it isn't just some quirky coincidence, and it's definitely not a personal failing. It's a really deep, powerful psychological pattern that, honestly, affects pretty much everyone. We're talking about a genuine repetition compulsion here, and just understanding it is the first real step to getting a handle on it.
And this right here, this is the heart of the whole thing. It's this incredible tension, isn't it? On one hand, you've got your conscious mind, your identity, screaming, "I will never be like that." But on the other hand, you have these powerful unconscious forces just pulling you right back into those old, familiar, inherited patterns. So let's break down where those forces actually come from.
Okay, so the first huge piece of this puzzle comes from the British psychologist John Bowlby and his frankly groundbreaking work on attachment theory. His core idea is that your earliest relationships, they don't just give you memories, they literally create a fundamental blueprint for your entire life.
Bowlby called this blueprint our internal working model, and it's so much more than just a vague feeling. You should think of it as a set of unconscious cognitive maps, basically structured rulebooks that tell you how relationships are supposed to work, what you can expect from other people, and how you should behave to get your needs met. And listen, this isn't some passive thing that just happens to us. Bowlby really emphasizes that as kids, we are the active architects of this internal world. We are constantly watching, interpreting, and building these models based on every single interaction with our caregivers.
The process itself is almost deceptively simple. First, we just observe. Is my parent anxious? Or are they calm? Are they responsive? Or are they distant? Then, from that, we form these deep core beliefs. Beliefs like, okay, to be loved, I have to be quiet. Or maybe, anger is the only way I'm going to be heard. And finally, we apply these rules automatically to everything, our friendships, our romantic partners, and yep, even our own parenting style, decades down the line.
This is probably the perfect way to think about it. Your internal working model is like a GPS. It was programmed a long, long time ago with a very specific destination and a set of pre-approved routes. So in adulthood, when stress hits, you don't pull over to consciously plan a new route. Nah. You just follow the voice of the GPS, which, unsettlingly, often sounds a lot like your parents.
But that blueprint, that's only half the story. To really get what happens to the traits we actively try to reject, we have to turn to the work of Carl Jung and his concept of the shadow.
Jung defined the shadow as basically the container for everything we disown about ourselves. It's not necessarily evil or bad, but it holds all the parts of us we've decided are unacceptable or inferior or embarrassing, which so often are the very traits we couldn't stand in our parents. And right here, you can see that internal split so clearly. Our conscious identity, our ego, is often built in direct opposition to our parents. We define ourselves by what we are not. I am patient, I'm not irritable. But that rejected trait, that anxiety, that anger, that critical voice, it doesn't just disappear. It gets shoved down, deep into the unconscious, into the shadow. And here is the real kicker, straight from Jung himself. The shadow does not stay quiet. It's constantly trying to make itself known. It thrusts itself upon you. This is exactly why those parental behaviors burst out so unexpectedly. They are literally expressions of this repressed, unacknowledged part of you.
And this is the great paradox of it all. By declaring war on a trait, by pushing it away with all our might, we aren't destroying it, we're actually feeding it. We're giving it energy and power in the unconscious, which makes it even more likely to erupt the moment our conscious control is weakened by stress or fatigue.
So you might be thinking, okay, I get it. I see the pattern, I'm aware of my blueprint and my shadow, so why can't I just stop? And that is such a crucial question. And Jung, well, he provides a really deep and compelling answer.
See, according to Jung, we're not just dealing with our own personal bad habits.
we're tapping into archetypes, these universal, primordial patterns of human experience that we all share. So when a situation in your life mirrors an old family dynamic, it doesn't just trigger a memory. It activates an ancient archetype, which carries this immense psychic energy and this feeling of, I can't help myself.
This is exactly why pure logic so often fails us here. We think we can reason our way out of these behaviors, but you can't have a logical debate with your shadow. It's a living, breathing, dynamic part of who you are. Trying to argue it away is like trying to convince your own heart to just stop beating. It is not going to work.
So this brings us to the most important question of all, right? It can feel like a total trap. If you fight it, it gets stronger. If you ignore it, it controls you from behind the scenes. So, what's the alternative? How in the world do we actually break the cycle?
Well, the path forward, it turns out, isn't about rejection or just gritting your teeth with willpower. It's about a process of integration. It's about a journey toward what Jung called individuation. And this is the real work of generational healing.
Here's the key insight. The goal is not to destroy the shadow, it's to turn around and face it. Integration means acknowledging, okay, that inherited anxiety or that anger, that's part of me. And by bringing it into the light, you rob it of its secret, compulsive power. It doesn't have to burst out of the darkness anymore because you've actually given it a place in your conscious world. And Jung is very clear with us that this work is not easy. He calls it a tight passage, a narrow door. It takes real courage to look at the parts of ourselves that we've spent a lifetime rejecting. But it's the necessary first step on the path to meeting your whole authentic self. This whole process of integration, this is the very heart of what Jung called individuation. It really is the journey of a lifetime, the conscious effort to move beyond the inherited blueprint and the unacknowledged shadow, and to become the unique, whole person you are truly meant to be.
So let's just lay out that path. First, you have to acknowledge the pattern when it shows up, and without judgment, just notice it. Oh, there's my father's impatience again. Second, get curious and understand its roots in your childhood blueprint and your personal shadow. And third, you integrate. In that crucial moment of awareness, you can consciously choose a different response, and you start rewriting the script one choice at a time.
Ultimately, the stakes of doing this work are not just about avoiding those cringeworthy moments when we sound like our parents. It's about freedom. It's about finally discovering the person you are underneath all the layers of inheritance and expectation. And that is a question worth thinking about.